SIG says there's only one way for the P320 to go off. There's actually three. Remember how Genghis Khan, the guy who had the knife, remember how they mentioned the firing pin return spring? So that's the tiny little spring on the striker. It's very easy for anyone who's taking apart the striker to lose it or to install it wrong. I would not be surprised if someone in assembly installed it wrong. Basically what that does, if you don't have it in there, or if it's installed wrong, the pistol turns into an open bolt. That said, I know for sure, based on the description they gave, that would not be the cause of the accident. If it's in a holster, that's not going to make it go off. Every other way involves an issue with the firing pin safety. That part was designed to be stamped. Someone in finance was like, hey, let's save like $30 per pistol. So a bunch of parts that were designed to be stamped end up becoming MIM'd, which includes that striker safety.
So what's the difference between stamping and MIM'd in terms of safety and quality?
With MIMing, once in a while, you might run into bubbles in the safety lever. If the bubbles break, then you have a problem where it shears off, the striker goes forwards. With safety levers in particular, if there's a wear issue, the striker goes forwards and the safety lever saves you a few times. There's a possibility that it'll break after a few instances of it happening. Out of the box, if you have a good one, the pistol should be safe, which is why the majority of 320s haven't gone off. But if you have a bad one out of the factory, or if you drop it too many times, then you might have a problem.
So you think it's a parts issue that certain MIM'd firing pin safes are not up to snuff, and then they cause the gun to go off at random?
Yes and no. For that to happen, you also have to have a sear issue. With a sear issue, that would require either the crossed springs that you saw in the Protraband video, or some other thing that's keeping the sear from going all the way up. I can think of one way for that to happen out of the box, and that would require tolerance stacking and a whole bunch of people being idiots, both the user and the company at the same time. So there's this piece called a takedown safety. Are you familiar with the parts of the P320 FCU?
Not personally, no, I've never really used one.
So there's this piece called takedown safety in there, and the point of that is to keep you from inserting a magazine while you're taking the pistol apart. There's two different ones that we have. We have one for 9, 40, and 357, and we have one for 45 and 10. If you have a 9, 40, or 357 pistol, and then you reassemble the pistol with the 10/45 takedown safety, putting that takedown lever back in the correct position, but you don't push the slide release up, you're going to end up having insufficient sear engagement. So if you have that issue compounded with the issue of the striker safety, then this can go off.
So that's something that could be done at the factory if the assembler does something wrong, or during field strip or maintenance or whatnot.
So it requires someone in logistics at SIG, someone in assembly, someone in quality to mess up, and then it goes to the user, and the user puts it back together after field stripping wrong. After all that, then you can run into the issue. I'm not saying that's the cause of every single instance that happened. Based on my experience, I could see that happening more than once.
Right, where a gun slips through the cracks with it's the wrong takedown safety,
which can cause insufficient sear contact combined with a faulty striker safety. So that can at times cause that striker to go forward. Because it slips off the sear, then the firing pin safety is not there.
Let me theorize this. So if I buy a 320 and I buy the wrong magazine safety or the wrong takedown safety, if my striker safety is then bad, I can get my 320 to go off.
If you were going to do that, I would recommend removing the takedown safety altogether, because we're just going to imagine that it's broken out of the box.
Whether it's broken or the wrong one, that will both cause insufficient sear
contact. It should cause the issue. At SIG, sometimes people are too stupid to relabel parts correctly. And honestly, that's part of the reason why I keep seeing issues like this come up. I've seen people return slides labeled incorrectly. It's easy to identify a slide. If people are messing that up, imagine how often they're messing up things that are even worse, much smaller. But most of the parts are from India.
Anything that's MIM'd is from India, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. We do have some sintered parts. They're from the US, but most of the MIM'd components do come from India. and most of the small parts are mimmed. There are parts that were designed to be mimmed out of the box, like for example the striker housing. There's no way to make that without mimming unless the pistol is going to end up costing $3,000 per gun. That's fine. It's designed with the intention of being mimmed. It's within spec. The Takedown safety. It was designed to be stamped, but I've seen them come out of mim boxes.
Is that public that they are not stamped, that they're mimmed?
I believe publicly right now everyone thinks they're stamped. The other P320 issues, I'd say they're mostly fixed. Like the exploding, that's caused by the pistol being out of battery. Like for example, the X10 fully supported chamber goes in battery every time. So SIG is aware of the issue. They're just not going out and announcing it publicly.
Is there a QC check for that?
One thing I'll say, the QC process did not used to involve checking every single gun. It used to involve checking like 10% of the guns that they made. And now they've moved on to checking 100% of guns as soon as they leave the assembly line. Yeah, they are improving the QC process. As far as the individual parts go from their subcontractors such as IndoMim, the procedure for that is they check like 1 in every 1,000 of the pieces that they get. Or maybe it's 1 every 100. It all depends on the exact part that they're getting.
So this is John at a much later date, and as you can probably tell by the B-roll I've been throwing in here, I have since purchased a 320 Compact, which is actually a pre-upgrade model. I picked it up used at my local gun store, and there are a lot of these floating around. I have also since purchased the incorrect takedown safety and a number of different striker assemblies. That way I should be able to do all of this testing on my own with several different models and see if I can recreate some of the issues. I feel like with this knowledge, if it is correct, which is again an if, this should be fairly easy to recreate some of the issues. Which as far as I'm concerned is the last piece of the puzzle, is to recreate the issues in a somewhat sterile controlled environment. We know that these issues happen. We've seen them happen on video. We have numerous different eyewitness accounts. We have many stories floating around the internet for the last 7 or 8 years at this point. There are known issues. There are internal changes at SIG, but again, the only thing that they have in their pocket as of right now is that no one has actually independently recreated this issue, but maybe even that will ND today. But that's about all that I have on this today, gentlemen. Let me know what you think of the SIG P320 in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.